Hello, all. I would like to touch even more base on employment and how to facilitate the needs of someone who has high function needs. For me, because I have autism and ADHD, that also comes with its own issues. Like any other disability, you have to approach everyone differently. For me, if I have a meltdown, I don't really like being touched, but if you pull me off to one side and into a quiet room, that's the easiest way to deal with me. Another factor is that many of those with high function needs, they don't deal well with a little tiny room and two people interviewing them. Um, Sometimes it's best if you do a working interview where you actually show the person the environment for which they may be working. And you ask them, show me what you can do, or let me show you what needs to be done, and let's see if you can do it. For me, it doesn't really matter if I get paid as long as it's a working interview. And that for me gives the chance to show you what I'm capable of. And if I should have trouble or ask too many questions, well, that's me trying to learn it. Um, Kind of like the same thing for you when it comes to interviewing me. Um, it allows you to learn about me in response to how I deal with my environment and or tasks that I need to do in concerns of the job. Simply asking and letting us do what needs to be done is a benefit for both parties. Um, it allows you to see the capability of the person and as well as their strengths and what they could use to be worked on. Not all of us are good in a one-to-one or two-person kind of setting where someone asks a whole bunch of questions because um, it's very nerve-wracking and you don't know how to respond to half the questions that are being asked. I know for one that I have a hard time with it. Another thing about interviews is that not all of us are good with eye contact or being in an environment for which is very stressful. And that's where this interaction setting comes into play, where you give us the ability to work in your environment and see what needs to be done. Without this kind of tool, how do you know what the person's like within your environment? How do you know if they can handle that job without putting them to work? This is the biggest issue that I find when it comes to interviews, and I find it very troubling for me because even though I can do perfect eye contact for most part, it's the fact that I don't know how to answer the questions, and it becomes very stressful. And then you get very put off or um, very uncomfortable with things, and people don't know how to take you, and it's really hard and very. It's too much pressure sometimes, and it's sometimes someone like me, when it comes to interviews, might be rude or combative, and we don't mean to be. When you have no filter or ability to describe things, it's almost daunting, too daunting for someone like me. And this is where you come in and say, let's show you the environment, let's show you what you need to do, and let's see if you can do it. Basically, I'm saying, show me what needs to be done. Just show me once and let me see if I can do it. Don't um, think that I'm like everyone else, because I'm not. Everyone learns differently. Even you guys that work and are able to find work naturally, for me, it's just that much harder because you don't understand disability, and I don't understand you as an average person. Um, I need to know that I am welcome within your environment and within your work practices. And sometimes what it takes is to educate one employer so they can keep an eye on you, so that if you make a mistake, at least that's one person who knows how to deal with you, instead of embarrassing the whole lot of the group, and especially the one person that is already nervous about what they have and trying to reveal it, because that's the hardest task of all. And you have to know who to trust, and sometimes that's the biggest trouble of all, because it's hard to talk about what you have when you've been kind of pushed aside or ignored most of your life. And that's half the time the usual case for someone like me. It's hard for us to speak out or talk to anyone or even trust people because of how things have been in our lives. And that's where you come in. You show us that you deserve our trust and that you can be trusted. And that goes for the same on our part. We need to show you that we can be trusted and that we deserve your respect as much as you deserve ours. For that takes work and a relationship. And you cannot build a relationship or the necessary means to create any kind of relationship with your workers unless if you actually allow us in your life and allow us to explain things in a private but constructive manner, in which both of us come to an agreement that we have an understanding of each other. For me, to explain things, what it takes is patience and the willingness to learn about me as a person. I am more than a disability. I am a human. I have dreams. I have, well, let's just say I'm not perfect. And for that, it takes a lot more for me to do what you take for granted daily, and a lot more energy. For me to do these videos, I have to literally think about what I'm trying to portray without portraying too much of what I have or comes natural to me, because I lack the filter or the necessary means to explain things. And for me, that's where sometimes just having one person on the job to help me or lead the way in how to be more productive or more engaging with people. A lot of people like me lack the social skills because they were never taught. I was taught. But unfortunately, with what I have also comes behavioral issues or meltdowns, both of which I can't control. Can you imagine having a 16-year-old child and having to see the world like that for the rest of your life? That 16-year-old child is me for the rest of my life. So in order to explain things, you have to come down to my level because I can't come up to yours. It is far easier to do simple, but very point-driven instructions, like show me how it's done, explain it to me in simple terms, a few instructions at a time, and the job will get done. It may not be done in per se how you would do things, but the result is the same, no matter the task. I see things from a different view than most of you would ever see things. How I do things is not going to be the same as how you do things. And this is where people need to understand. I have to augment your world into my own so that I can function. I'm not always going to be able to do things your way. But if you allow me to do things my way, the result's always going to be the same. It'll be done. But it'll be done in my terms. But with your rules. Thanks.